Let's work a little bit more in detail with audio. You know that you can add multiple audio tracks to your Premiere Pro timeline, but Premiere actually has quite a few ways that we can adjust and dial in our audio so that it sounds even better. The very first thing that you want to do when you're working with audio is make sure that your dialogue is set properly. Then we can mix everything else around that. If you perhaps had multiple audio tracks and you just wanted to work on one, you would want to solo that track. So let me just grab a couple of other sound tracks and place them into our project. Ultimately, I'm going to be deleting these, so it doesn't really matter, but let's just pretend that I had several audio tracks in my project. If I play my project now, all of the sounds are going to play simultaneously, like this. One of my favorite names for whale sharks is Naukatana. As you can see from just these couple of seconds, everything's competing with each other and there's no priority on what we're actually supposed to listen to. This, of course, would be very problematic, so we would need to adjust this. But if this was our project and we just wanted to work on the voiceover portion, what you can do is you can click the S key. This solos the track. So when you have S selected and we play our project, this is what they call whale sharks in Madagascar. What it does is it only allows that particular track to play. It is possible to solo more than one track, so if you wanted to isolate a couple of tracks, you could solo both of them. In addition, instead of soloing a track, you could also mute tracks. But if you have a bunch of tracks and you wanted to have only one track play, it's easier just to click the solo button rather than muting a plethora of tracks out. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some adjustments to the voiceover. Now this voiceover doesn't sound so bad, but we can make it sound better. So let's take a look at how we can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the audio meter pane, and we're going to expand this out. This will allow us to have more of a visual representation of how our audio sounds. If I go ahead and play the audio, keep your eye on the audio meter track. It translates to many stars, which I think is such a beautiful description of these amazing creatures. As you can see, the audio is kind of around this level right here, -18 to -24. We want to target our audio to fall within a certain range. Usually -12 to -6 is a great range. It is possible to have louder sounds that might peak above -6 and all the way up to 0, but nothing should peak higher than 0. If any audio goes higher than 0, it's going to clip the audio. In the simplest sense, audio clipping is a form of waveform distortion. It's when the audio is amplified and pushed beyond its maximum limit. This will cause the amplifier to attempt to produce the output voltage beyond its capacity, and that's when clipping is going to occur. So that's something that we definitely want to avoid. Our audio is nowhere near the clipping range, but we can improve it by bringing it up a little bit. A good workflow to take in Premiere is to first adjust your audio gain. This is the input level of your clips, and this is where you would make the baseline adjustments for the majority of your audio. Then you'll come back and you'll adjust your audio volume. That's the output level. And this is when you would individually adjust different volume levels of each clip in the timeline, which would allow you to tweak things on a clip-by-clip basis. You can get a better sense of when your audio is peaking by taking a measurement. So I'm going to select my voiceover clip, and then you can either right-click and choose Audio Gain, or you can use the keyboard shortcut of G. When you open up the audio gain, this is a place where you can change the audio gain. So right now it's telling me my peak amplitude for this voiceover clip is about -6.2 on average. So what we can do is we can set the gain to a higher value. So I'm going to go ahead and set the gain to 6. Keep an eye on this audio track. When I click OK, you'll see that the audio gets a little bit taller. And let's just expand this track down a little bit so we can have a better reference of what's going on. I'm going to also place my mouse in between my video and audio tracks and drag the video tracks up. Since I'm not working on them, we don't really need to concentrate on them. Now if we go ahead and play our clip, watch what happens in the audio meter. All around the world, there are many stories of whale sharks. They possess unique cultural values. So as you can see and hear, the audio is a little bit louder, and it is now metering at a higher level. So as a general rule, you're going to want to have your main audio be between -6 and -12. If you have quieter sounds, they could peak between -18 and -24. These, of course, are simply guidelines to think about. There may be circumstances when things would be different, but I find it good to start with some general guidelines. One other element that you might want to use in order to adjust sound is our Essential Sound pane. We can access this by going to Window, Essential Sound. This will open up the Essential Sound pane. When this is open, you'll select an audio track, and then you're going to go ahead and assign a tag for that particular audio. So in this case, this audio is dialogue. I'm going to click dialogue. This will give you a whole slew of options that you can use to make the audio better. This is especially useful if you have audio where you've recorded in a loud environment and there's a lot of background sounds or some hums or air conditioning or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be playing my audio, and as I play it, I'm going to be clicking on some of these different options, and you'll hear what happens to the audio. Let's take a look. In many countries. In Borneo, whale sharks are often sighted near fishing boats. That's going to reduce the noise. Believed to be sacred animals. Reduce rumble. Are forbidden from capturing the sharks. There's a story of a whale shark that rescues someone who nearly drowned in the middle of the sea. As you can hear, reduce rumble gets rid of some of that outside interference in our audio. Let's leave that on. Let's explore de-hum. On the island of Java, people believe that the whale shark is the ancestor of... That doesn't really do it for me, but we can further dial this in by going ahead and adjusting this. So the hum is going to eliminate sounds that are caused by electrical interference. Let's take a look. Every fish in the ocean. They call it ancestor shark. There, whale sharks are revered as protectors of... I think that sounds much better. So simply by adjusting a couple of these settings, we can improve the quality of our audio that we've captured. There are some other options that you can explore. One of the ones I like is the reverb if you've recorded in a large room. You can go ahead and use some of these settings to make the audio sound fuller. Take time to experiment around with some of these settings so that you can apply these to your audio. Whenever you apply any of these, you're going to see a little FX appear in your audio track. That's an indication that you've applied some sort of audio effects to the track. This is a good start for our voiceover audio. We'll continue to work on this and mix in some other sounds to make the audio richer and more interesting for our project.